You've done some movie stuff.
Yeah.
How does that come about, and what is that like, getting a phone call saying, I want you to design a cartoon car?
Well, it didn't actually, if it had only come that easy. So I was still head of design at Ford, and John Lasseter, who was at Pixar at the time, and the Pixar team contacted us, and they also contacted General Motors and contacted what was then Chrysler, and wanted to come by and visit studios. And don't ask me why, but they were rebuffed by both Chrysler and General Motors. And I said, absolutely, come over, we'll open the doors to you. And John and I became pretty quick friends. And so we did a lot of work with them on the first Cars movie, just to give them a feeling for what automotive design looked like. Mm-hmm. As it turned out, designing a car and making a movie is a very similar process. It's about a 7-year process, mm-hmm. Particularly for animation. And a lot of what you do ends up on the cutting room floor. So there's a lot of mistakes that are made in designing a car that the public never sees. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of mistakes these days digitally on movies that the public never sees. But we would spend hours talking about the similarities. So when it came time to finally bite the bullet and do the first Cars movie, they brought me in as a consultant. And I got a credit on that, which I was delighted about. And then John went on to become not only the head of Pixar, but the chief creative officer for Disney Pixar. So at that time, he brought me in a more complete capacity. Mm-hmm. First to work on Big Hero 6, which I don't know if you would know that film or not.
I don't remember that one.
But I did a little bit of work on the robot in that film, which was kind of the lead character. Yeah. But where he really wanted me in on the ground floor was on Zootopia. Okay. And so I had left Ford by that time. And so what he did was send me what looked for all the world, Mike, like a police lineup of all the characters he needed cars designed for. Yeah. And of course, they took me through the what the story was going to be, and Bunny Hops was going to go from a meter maid to a detective, and all of that was fascinating. But the police lineup was cars that I had to design for everything from a 2-inch high field mouse to a giraffe at the other end. And of course, all the animals walked upright and spoke English. and so there was a moose, there was a giraffe, there was a hippopotamus, there was a pig, there was everything in between. Yeah. And that was a true kick to work on. Mm-hmm. So when we set out to kind of design those cars, we were sending them back and forth. And I suppose for about a 4 to 5 month period there, I was saying, this is kind of what I think. And by the way, we're not going to be able to do anything for a moose with antlers other than a convertible, because we don't know where to put anything.
Yeah. It's not going to work, is it?
And the car that we did for the giraffe was articulated, because the giraffe had such a long neck. When it would go around a corner, the top part of the car would lean almost nautically to get the giraffe around the corner.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's hilarious.
And at the time, I thought I was designing a car, because they don't give everything away. I thought I was designing a car for what they called a couple of gerbils that were like frat boys, and they were a bit feisty and cocky. And it turned out I was designing the car for the guy that worked at the Department of Motor Vehicles, who was a sloth. And the sloth was extraordinarily slow. Yeah. And I don't know if you've seen that movie recently, but it's probably one of the most hilarious pieces of the film. So the juxtaposition between a sloth and this extraordinary sports car that he has to drive was, of course, the funny part of it. Yeah.